Hi, and I hope you're doing well. Now we're going to quickly talk about reference type and value type, which is a pretty important thing to understand the difference between these different types of variables. Basically, there is two types of memories also, one for each type of variable, and they are the stack memory and the heap memory. So I'm going to put up an image that I did. Basically, we have different types of variables declared. We have numbers, objects, strings, and they all go to the stack memory. But there is the reference type memory, which has the reference to the actual value in the heap memory. So whenever we have a reference type, which can be a string, an object, an array, the actual value goes to the heap memory and the variable holds a reference to that value. And for value types, we have int, doubles, anything number related. And we also have characters, booleans, and structs. I'm going to leave a link in the description for Microsoft Learn, where you can see all about this. But that's basically it. All the variables that are declared goes into the stack memory, but the reference types holds the reference instead of the value. They hold the reference to the actual value in the heap memory. But for value types, they hold the actual value in the stack memory. Now you may be asking, why is this important? Why is this relevant? And I'm going to show you an example. So here I have a quick example. We are declaring two numbers. We are declaring two objects here. You don't have to do this. This is just for me to explain the difference between reference type and value type. Then here on this part, we are just showing the value in the number one and then the number two. And we are also transforming this object into a string with a JSON serializer so we can see what is on that object. Then here we are changing the variables the same way, so you can see the difference between them. And here we are showing the results, like how do these variables look like after this. So number one is holding a value of 10, number two is holding a value of 20, and then the vehicle one has a max speed of 200, and the vehicle 2 has a max speed of 250. Now here when we change the variables, because this is value type, these numbers are value type, we are just copying the value from number 2 to the value of number 1. So number 1 was holding a value of 10. Now we just copied the number 2 20 value and passed to the number 1. So both of them are holding a value of 20. And here we are doing an increment in number 1. So number 1 must be 21 and number 2 must be 20. This operation is the same as I did in number 1 plus 1. And you can see here that it gives me a suggestion to use the incrementation operator. Now we do the same thing with the reference type. This is a value type and this is a reference type because it's an object, and this is because it's a number. Now here the same thing is going to happen. Vehicle 1 is holding a reference to its object, and vehicle 2 is also holding a reference to its object. The problem here is that we are copying the reference and not the actual object. So if vehicle 1 has this reference and then the vehicle 2 has another reference, what we are doing here is that we are copying this reference and pasting on this vehicle 1. So vehicle 1 is now pointing to the value of vehicle 2. Now they are both pointing to the same object. And here we are incrementing this speed, the 250. So it must be 251, and both of them are pointing to this object with 251, and the previous object of the vehicle 1 is just in the memory and will be soon collected by a garbage collector. So let's put this actually to the test. Let's give it a .NET run And like I said, before changes, number 1 is 10, number 2 is 20. Here we have the vehicle 1 pointing to this object that has a max speed of 200, a capacity of 5, and the vehicle 2 is pointing to this object with a max speed of 250. Then after the changes, which is this operation here in the middle, we have the number 1 with 21, because we copy the value from number 2 to number 1. That's how value types work. And then for the objects, we didn't copy the actual value. We didn't copy the object. We copied the reference. We passed the reference from vehicle 2 to the vehicle 1, and they are both pointing to the same object. That's why when we did the vehicle 1 dot max speed and then the incrementation here, it changed the same object, but both of them are pointing to the same object. That's why here you see the same thing. Vehicle 1 251 and vehicle 2 251, also because they're pointing to the same object. And if we were to change the vehicle 2 and do another incrementation down here, like vehicle 2 and then the capacity or the max speed again, it would change the same. It wouldn't change for both of them, but because they're pointing to the same object, it will look like it is changed for both of them. So if we run this again, you see that with the vehicle 1 did an incrementation on the max speed and both of them are showing 251, and the vehicle 2 did an incrementation on the capacity, but both of them are showing 3. That's because they are pointing to the same object. I hope this is clear, because this is very important, and this will be an important matter when it comes to variables and if statements and conditions. This is important to understand. I hope I could make this clear, and I hope you could understand it. If you have any questions, please ask me. And if you want to learn more about software development, subscribe down there, and I will see you in the next one.